So, again, thank you for your time today. I think you've done really great work this year, and I really appreciate that. And this is, I want to celebrate you as someone who's really grown and taken leadership as a teacher to the next level. So the last thing we're going to do is take a look at the calculator, and I appreciate you. We had talked about this, and you brought in the calculator and kind of put in some numbers, some things that you saw from your survey, from your observations, and we kind of inputted some of the things we saw today. And just kind of taking a look at, now obviously we don't have SGP, and we won't know that until the data comes through. But I think we can do some projecting, and I think we can look at, based on historical data, where have you usually gotten? You're not a tested subject in terms of CST, but you've benchmarked and you've done fairly well. So, we put in where your two benchmark scores were and as SGP, your average. And I think, where do you think your anxiety lies when it comes to, the calculator, coming to this final score? Where's your anxiety? Because I want to have a conversation about how we can support you with that and looking at, in the future, how do we continue to support? Because this is really the first official time we're going to get that score when it comes to your TDS. So what are your thoughts around that?
I kind of think it's a lot of just seeing the pieces fall together and, seeing a number set to my teaching. It's kind of a holistic anxiety. I don't know if there's a specific way I can say this is really anxious for me. I think a lot of the anxiety comes to connecting with the different scores that are coming in at different times and not knowing I can guess my SGP and I can do this and I can do that, and the calculator is helpful that way. That I don't know if until we have all those numbers that it's going to be something that I can be really confident with.
Sure. I
do think that seeing all the numbers come in, it kind of causes anxiety seeing the average go up and down.
Right.
And I know with the bonus rolling out and just everything else, I feel like it's just the first time I've ever seen my score enumerated, and it's kind of hard to navigate what would have actually helped me improve my final number. Which one of these things that is, in flux, kind of, would actually help me improve it.
Sure.
And is there one that's bang for my buck and one that will really, is where I'm the lowest and could cause the most growth in me? And being able to actually figure out what to do for that to see something move in a number. I think that's where I'm kind of lost in all of that.
And I appreciate that. I mean, we're in this together, right? It's the first time we're kind of coming through with the entire calculator. In the leaders development system also, we have, our composite scores coming, and, it relies on a lot of things that are happening at the school too. So I think you hit it on the head in terms of, right now we can play with the numbers and we can look at what it might look like. But my focus, I think, for teachers is going to be, so what are the structures in place? What are the ways that we can construct conversations around, well, how do I improve on the different areas? And what are the things that I can be doing that are the biggest bang for my buck, and the levers that I can really be thinking about, gaining expertise. So, for example, if we were to, one thing I want to make sure we talk about is, as an organization overall, we really have been, centered on, we're heavily in the 2 range, right? I mean, overall, right now, we're in that 2 range, which makes a lot of sense because we want to make this rigorous. We want to make sure that we, as teachers and leaders, we're really moving towards that mastery. And so we're kind of in that 2 range. But we're moving closer and closer, and as you can see in your score, you're moving closer and closer to that 3. And growth and over time with this process and trusting the process, I think we're going to see scores get higher and higher, and I definitely can see yours doing that too. So a couple things that I would say is, looking at the scores, if we were to change, a student survey to this next number, what does your score do? If we were to change one of your observations or your observation to a little bit higher, what would that do? And I think that's important, and I think that's what you were talking about in terms of saying, I want to know what these numbers mean and how I can improve these numbers and put them in the calculator, and what is that going to look like in my entire composite score. I think one of the biggest questions is, what does this score mean for me as a teacher? What does it say about me? as a teacher? Does it mean that I'm not a great teacher if I'm not at highly effective yet? Does it mean that I'm floundering? And I think the answer is no. It just means this is where you are on the spectrum, and what are those things that we can put into place that will really affect growth for you as a teacher. And I think that's really the way we have to look at it, because until we get all the numbers together and it really becomes that final piece, I think we have to continue to have those conversations about what are the important parts. Let's measure what really matters, and let's work together to help everybody continue and get better. Because in the end, this is about teacher growth and about putting the best person possible in front of that student. And so I don't want you to worry too much about what the calculator says right now, but really, and I know there's some anxiety there, of course, but we're in this together, and let's keep working on it and thinking about what are the things we can do to improve, not only this year, but in the next year, and as we continue to understand more about the process and refine the process with feedback from people like you and from us as leaders to continue to move forward. But as it stands right now, your calculator looks great. I mean, you're definitely emerging and you're getting towards that 3, and I only see positive things for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, remember that this, in closing, this conversation that we have with all these pieces, I wanted to make sure that we're focusing on practice and growing as a teacher. And I want you to feel supported with that. So I know we talked a lot about next steps and structures we can put in place to help you as a teacher. And know that this is something we're just going to keep coming back to. That this is not about, we have this meeting and then we go. It's really thinking about what do we keep coming back to as we learn the process more and the system better, that we can really lever and leverage the things that we want to work on, whether it's teacher supports or student supports or PD or digging into the rubric or giving feedback on one of the panels. That's really what it's about. And I really am grateful for the opportunity to dig in deeply in practice, because I think that's the greatest thing in this system is we get to really talk about practice and how to move you forward so that you're the best you can be with those students. And I hope that this was a beneficial process for you. And so my question for you kind of in closing is, what has this process and system and even this meeting led you to think more deeply about, or really think closely about?
I think 2 things. One, that teaching is ever evolving, and you can be great in one area and needing improvement in others, and you're always kind of moving the bars in your practice, and it doesn't, one is connected to the other, but you can have very outstanding things and very not outstanding things that need different help from different sources in different ways to make sure that I'm growing. The second thing is knowing that there's kind of a way to actually look at what I'm doing that's numeric. It's kind of a different way to think about it. And I think instead of saying, oh, you're a great teacher, there's that because portion of it, and I can say that these are the things I'm working on, these are the things that I'm kind of solidified in, and these are the area, and this is the way that I can get the stuff I'm working on to be solidified. I think it's nice to know that there's kind of that avenue, and when I don't agree with something, that there's a way I can do that that's kind of mandated, like there is a place for me to do it, and it's not me having to completely seek it out on my own and kind of be that super advocate when I have so many things going on. It's nice to know that there's kind of a scheduled time where I can sit down and, one-on-one get my thoughts across and get feedback. So.
And I think it's much more tangible and specific, and I think that's I think you made a good point with that. And in the end, it's really for you to feel supported and be able to seek out those things that you want to become better. And I know that you as an educator, I've seen it. You want to be better for your students, and you want to get better every single day, and it's the thing that we appreciate the most about you. So really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.